Here we have the inside of the Adria 613 UT Thames Adora. If we firstly come to the master switch, we can turn the 12 volt on, and then we have an indication of the voltage of the leisure battery just here. Beneath that we then have the water pump. We need the water pump on to be able to get water out of the taps and also fill the boiler if it's been drained down. We then have the master switch for all of the onboard lights. They can then all be individually turned on and off on their own switches. We then have 12 volt and aerial fly lead input just here for the television. 2 USB charge points, main socket, and then light switches. And then we can also turn the rear courtesy lights on and off on this lower switch just here. We then have the TV bracket. Right at the very top we then have the control panel for the Alde heating and hot water. We turn on just here. On initial startup it will give us an internal temperature and an external temperature. If we now press menu, it will bring up its basic functions just here. So at the very top here we have the thermostat for the heating, just plus and minus to whatever temperature you would like it to be inside the caravan. Beneath that we then have hot water. So at the moment currently hot water is off. If I now press plus, hot water on, and then hot water on a boost. The boost facility was mainly designed for if there's going to be more than one person having showers in quick succession of each other, or if you would just like a slightly longer shower. If you do perform the boost and the heating is in operation, the heating will turn off as this needs the extra power. Next we have power source. So even though we've selected a temperature for the heating and in a sense we've turned hot water on, the system is not fired up yet because we haven't decided what we want to be running it on. So this one here with the lightning strike is mains supply. So as long as we have mains connected, we can run on 1 kilowatt, 2 kilowatts or 3 kilowatts, just depending on the amperage of the site you're on to stop yourself from tripping. If we don't have mains supply and we have gas, we can run the system on gas by highlighting the flame. And if you have both power sources available to you, you can also run the system in dual fuel mode. Dual fuel is extremely handy, especially in the winter months if you would like to get up to temperature nice and quickly. It will only use the gas as it is required. Whenever the heating is in operation, you will get this little circle here just letting you know that the circulation pump is active and the fluid is going around the radiators. If we now press the cog, we then have the settings menu just here. So we have a moon and a sun, so we have a night timer and a day timer. We turn the timers on and off in the top corner here. We can then set the temperature we would like it to be throughout that period just here. And then we can set the time parameters just here. So start time, whether it's for all days of the week or just individual. And then when we want it to finish. We also have down here backlight inversion, so we can change this screen from white to black and the writing from black to white. And we can also tell the boiler that we do not want hot water throughout this period. And then we have then we have exactly the same again, just for the daytime. Next we have prioritise, and this is what the system prioritises in using when in that dual fuel mode. So at the moment it will favour main supply over gas. If you are on an extremely low amp site, you can flip it on its head so it consumes more gas, less electric. After that we just have the brightness of the backlight. We have room temperature sensor, just leave it set to auto. The thermostat is just up here. We then have time and day selection. So if you are using timers, just make sure that this is all correct. These ones are for the workshop, so we can't access them. The only one we can access is this one here, which I will show in a moment. We then have antimicrobial. This one will only work if it's highlighted as it is now and you are also using night mode. What will then happen at about 2-3 o'clock in the morning, the boiler would then come on, rapidly heat itself up to kill off any bacteria that may be in it. If you don't think the actual temperature sensors in here, like the thermostats, etc., are quite accurate, you can tweak them slightly just here. High altitude mode. So if you are caravanning 1,000 meters above sea level, you can activate this and it will then make the system run better at that different air pressure. If you prefer button beeps on or off, instead of having multiple timers, we can just have one delayed start and stop to the system. Pump settings, literally just leave it on thermal. We do not want it on continuous, or otherwise the fluid will just continually go around the radiators for no reason. Factory reset, as it were, so if there is a major problem you can just reset the control panel. External start, you do have to have additional boxes added, and then you can control the heating and hot water via an app. Language, service, again more for the workshop, but it will then let you know what everything is going on, so you can see the temperature for the ethylene glycol in the radiators and the water temperature. Installed accessories, this one can be handy, which is load monitor. So if I now tick it and we now arrow back up again, you will now see that we can access this one. So with the load monitor, if you arrive on site and you know how many amps the site is, you can pick on here. Let's say it's a 10 amp site. Even though we are still running 3 kilowatts here, it will limit itself on the amount of power it is using to stop you from tripping. Because it is now an activated function, it will appear in the activated function points just here. And then back off again just here. If you have left bits and bobs on, when you turn it back on again, it will always remember whatever you left it on last, so it will just then refire back up. Next we have the location point if you wish to add a head unit. All of the wiring is all here, and also the aerial for the radio. If we now remove the cushions and go underneath this bench seat just here, we then have the location for the 12 volt fuses. Which just sit here, and they are all labelled up, so if something's not working on 12 volt, just come in here to see whether or not a fuse is blown. We have the battery charger just here. and the control board for the power touch motor mover, and the back of the battery box. When draining the caravan down for winterization, you will see just tucked just down here, it's a little bit dark, but if I just put my hand here, so where my, there we go, we can see it now, this little grey lever here, if we lift this up, it will basically aid in draining down, because it will help release some of the airlocks in the pipe work, so the pipes drain off better. It's not just needed when just travelling, as long as you just open up the boiler drain valve itself will suffice. But like I say, for full winterization, it is extremely handy to do this as well, because that way you hopefully then eradicate any frost damage, etc., with all the water being able to drain off freely. On the other side, we have storage beneath. Then we have the pull-out rack just here, and this side here we have the freestanding table. We have the microwave just here and plugged in this overhead locker just here. Next we have the hob, so twist and then push in and then pressure igniter just down here. And then we have the grill, so again just push in, twist and press the igniter just over here. And then the oven. Beneath the oven we have storage, and then in the storage compartment beside you'll find two gas isolation taps for the hob and the oven itself. They are in the on position and they can stay like that. I always say if you smell gas in the van, just go to the gas bottle and turn it off. Next we have the Thetford fridge freezer, on and off just here. This is an automatic model, so as long as you are on A for auto, it will find the best power source it can for you. So because we're hooked up to main supply at the moment, it's put us directly onto mains. If I now went outside and unplugged this, it would then automatically attempt to fire itself up onto gas. And as soon as we hitch up to the tow vehicle and start the engine, it will then automatically go over to 12 volt maintain. We can take it out of auto if we want to. Just hold the grey button in. The A will begin to flash, and then just use your arrow keys to pick. So we can manually put it onto mains, manually put it onto 12 volt, or manually put it onto gas. Once you've decided what you would like, press again, and it will then move across to the temperature control. Pick the temperature and again press. But auto is the easiest one to have it on. We then have a very good size freezer box, and then a nice sized fridge beneath. and then back off again just here. Beneath the fridge we have the gas isolation tap for it. And then if we hop over to the other side, we then have the wardrobe all just here. Also in here we have the television aerial. So to raise the mast, just undo the collar here and undo here, and then we can push the mast up. The booster box at the back just here has a signal finder in it, so the colour of the light depicts the signal strength. So the greener it is, the better the strength. Once you've got it into the position you require, then just lock in. Do not over tighten these collars because you can split them. We can control the boost on the inner dial on here, but if I turn it down now, you'll just see that we go to red and we lose the signal. So really most of the time it can just say set to maximum. If you do need to do additional tuning, we can flip the aerial from the horizontal position to the vertical. All we need to do, you'll see at the moment it's in horizontal, is just turn the tail, and then we can then literally flip it onto its side, and you'll see a V will appear. Do make sure that you are back to the horizontal position before lowering the television aerial for travel. We also have in here the header tank for the Alde heating system. We just need to make sure that the fluid level is between the minimum and the maximum. Always take your reading once the heating is up to temperature, as the fluid will expand in the tank. If it does need topping up, you can do it yourself just by removing the collar just here and then unscrewing the cap and then removing the cap and the circulation pump just from here. If you do this, do make sure that you are using the correct Alde top-up solution. We also have in here the mains trip switches. So if something's not working on mains, just check to see whether or not you've tripped in here. If you haven't tripped in here, you may have tripped at the sight end. The Alde boiler itself all just sits behind this panelling, but we have the main drain valve just here for the boiler. So for winterization and travel, all we need to do is make sure the water pump is turned off and then just flap up just here to drain the boiler down, and to fill it back up again, flap it back over. Make sure you've got water in the aqua roll, drop in your submersible, turn the water pump on, and it will begin to prime back up again. You will also see that we have another one of those grey levers to drain off the pipework. Again, for full winterization, flap this up as well and it will drain off much better. When you have fully winterized the van, you will find that when you come to fill the boiler up again and you start opening up all your taps, they will cough and splutter as they force all the air out. Just wait until all the air has disappeared and the taps are running freely, and then you can close them, and then you will fully prime back up again. Again, you will also see another gas isolation tap, which is for the boiler. We then have the fixed bed. We can gain access underneath it just here. You will see this long infill, which is for the front bed. And we can also raise these up as well, so you can sit up in bed. As we enter into the washroom, we have the shower just here. Do make sure that the screen is clipped back for travel. We then have the basin and the Thetford toilet. So the bowl does move around. Open to the cassette just on the grey lever just here. Push to flush. and then close again. If this has been left open and you try to remove the cassette from the outside, it will not come out. So if you're trying to remove it and you feel resistance, just come in and check and make sure nobody has left basically the flap open. Level indicator just here, so this will illuminate to let you know when the cassette needs emptying.